Sushi. What is sushi?
A Japanese dish consisting of small balls or rolls of vinegar-flavored cold-cooked rice served with a garnish of raw fish, vegetables, or egg.
Now we know. I like sushi. It blends food, art, working with your hands, into an amazing explosion of flavors in my mouth. So, May is the month of my birth, and I want to eat a lot of sushi. I have been practicing making it myself for quite a while, and I watch a lot of videos on the old YouTubes. I found a neat little video about Tanoshi Sushi and Sake Bar in the Upper East Side in Manhattan. It's somewhat near my neighborhood, and I love their little story. I'll link it in the description below. So we booked 2 seats and put our shoes on. Well, I put my shoes on. Mrs. Handy put 1 shoe and 1 boot on since she tore a ligament on a slippery subway entrance step and was lucky enough not to break a wrist also because our sandwich from 2nd Avenue Deli broke her fall. And then we hit the road to Tanuki. Well, we got our monthly massage beforehand, and then we went and bought some sake because it's BYOB, and then we finally made it to Tanuki. I've been wanting to find a good omakase for a while that wasn't too hip or too flashy or too expensive, and just did it really well. Simple rice, simple fish, prepared the right way. Nothing flashy, nothing too saucy, good stuff. They even have all these cool maps above to show where all their fish come from. It's crazy to think how fast these fish go from being caught to being eaten by me in New York City. Logistics. It's pretty cool. First up, Japanese snapper. Firm, flaky, mild, a nice ease in to what's to come. Second, bluefin tuna. Tender, very rich, very flavorful. Perfect little piece. Next up, striped jack. Clean, slightly sweet, with a moderate amount of umami, which if you're not familiar is the less common category of food alongside sour, sweet, salt, and bitter. Next up, Sakyo salmon, marinated with a miso-based sauce and slightly cooked with a blowtorch. Also full of umami with a slight bit of sweetness. Probably our 3rd favorite this evening. Up next, yellowtail. Kind of a clean flavored version of tuna. Nothing crazy, just prepared perfectly. Now we have Japanese mackerel, also known as saba. A bit fishy and salty with a little bit of sourness from the natural flavor of the fish and the vinegar marinade and more deep umami. Not everyone's favorite, can easily be too fishy. Fluke, a flounder species with similar flavors to halibut, tilapia, and branzino, followed by amberjack, usually aged for 2 full days. A bit of a cross of tuna and mahi-mahi. Solid, nothing spectacular, but solid. Then came Heaven in a Bite, the real MVP of this experience. Miso marinated black sable. This was beyond any sushi that we're used to. Rich, buttery, delicate, and immensely flavorful. I really need to learn how to make this one. Then came this concoction of a thing. Couldn't quite understand what he was telling us it was called. It's either a triple X or triplets. Both would be a good name for this artistic piece of sushi. Roe, uni, and I think the yellow yolk of a quail egg. I enjoyed it, I think. It was unique. I might not want to try it a second time. Mrs. Handy thought it tasted like the beach. In a bad way? Not a fan. Anything after the miso marinated black sable would have had a tough act to follow. Quick little cup of the tastiest miso soup I've ever put in my mouth. I would like to drink it all day, please and thank you. Tuna. It's tuna, but it's done oh so well. Delicate, but a quick burst of flavor. I savored these 3 pieces. Probably the best simple tuna roll I've ever had. And to button up this whole process, a spicy salmon hand roll on some of the crunchiest nori I've ever had. This was nice, very bright, but not too spicy for this not so good with the spicy belly I got going on here. Then we had a chance to order a few more pieces, and Mrs. Handy was curious about the ebi that was sitting in front of us, which if you're not familiar is just a raw shrimp that they use for sushi. It doesn't have to be raw, I don't think. This was raw, I think. Very unique, fun thing to try. Tasted fishy, but not really in like a bad way. Wasn't crazy flavorful. It was alright. Then we had to end this experience, of course, with the miso marinated black sable, but in a hand roll. Which when we asked for it from the lovely waitress, she looked really confused and had to ask the chef if it was an okay thing to do. He said okay, and we had no regrets. This was a great way to taste this again. I could easily do this 5 more times tonight, but the old checkbook probably wouldn't take too kindly to it. This is a treat and a present to myself. Bye.
I can't walk that fast.